Okay, welcome back. This is Erik Malkavian, and I am in the Pillars of Eternity. Let's continue. And it's raining. Can't say I'm happy with that.
As you wish. Nice and quiet.
Ah, more Pilgrim's Crown. How wonderful. Yes, we found the road to Dyrford Village. Let us make our way there. And then we'll circle around through Twin Elms. Alright, let's go on. Travel through, find someone town knows about the ruins. Okay, here we are. Let's see what's over here. How long do you think we're gonna stand out here? Till we find it, so keep your eyes peeled. What you guys up to? Us? Just mind our own business. Like you need to be. See what's going on around here. I'm gonna get the lay of the land first. Before I ask anyone else any more questions. What do we got going on here? Ah, some river reed. Wonderful. Stand on guard. What do we got? Some adventurers. Nothing to see. Adventurers like myself. And some more river. I wonder where this road will take me. Ah, Creighton's Bluff. Not ready to take a look at that quite yet. We have business here in the Deer Woods. Let's get that way. Golden celery, wonderful. I want to see if there's a way. Well, there is a way across the road. Let's see what's over here. This is the road I came in on. Let's go this way. This road heading east back towards Rising Cove. That's the road. Stop sneaking. Let's see what's going on in here. Looks like a powerful number. Let's see what this is. I'm not sure what this is. Might be a temple of some sort. Selby. Looks like they worship trees in here. Harbinger Benmar. Speak to the person in charge.
Out with you!
Greetings.
I already told you what... I'm sorry. What? I thought you were one of those ruffians.
Ruffians? No. What are you talking about? These times we live in. Indeed, Eddard.
How may I help you?
What happened to you?
I never saw their faces. Strange, hooded men asking about those ruins. Cleoban Relag. Most of the brigands who come through here asking about the ruins are looking for a few ancient trinkets. But these people knew the name, and they were in a hurry.
Okay.
They wanted to know where Cleoban Relag was. I tried to keep it from them, but I couldn't hold out forever. I don't know what they were up to, but it can't be good.
Okay. Alof looks at you from. That does sound like the leaden key, doesn't it? Indeed. Old priest nod. Is there something else I can help you with? What can you tell me about the ruins?
The Glanfathan tribe that guards the ruins will kill anyone who trespasses there. And they'll retaliate against us, too, if history is any indication. We've had too many fortune seekers stir up trouble of late. If I'm to tell you, I'll need to know your reason for wanting to go.
Trust me, you're better off not knowing.
If you say so. Whatever goes on in the city nowadays is beyond me. You'll find Cleoban Relag here. Whatever trouble you find there, please end it quietly. And try to stay out of the ruins.
Tell me more about Dyrford. Folks here tend to keep to themselves, as they do in most towns these deep in the Deerwood. They're suspicious of travelers. But with all the brigands and refugees moving through the area, who can blame them? This is a temple of Bereth? What can you tell me about Bereth? Bereth is the most universal of all the gods. It oversees portals and cycles of all kinds, even life and death itself. Under Bereth, an ending is merely passage to another beginning. Bereth has many representations across time and across cultures. Around the Deerwood, you'll commonly see it depicted as the Pallid Knight or the Ushin. The Glanfathan, however, know it as Bainwin e Aku and Aku e Bainwin. Tell me about the Pallid Knight. She's one of the most and the youngest manifestation of Bereth, but of unfamiliar one nonetheless. Stories describe her as a gaunt knight in a black armor with black eyes, black hair, and milk-white skin. She demands an impossible toll from travelers who have tarried too long on her lord's road. Some challenge her only to slay themselves in the process. Who's the usher? Kith have written stories, songs, and poems about the usher for centuries. Sometimes he's folk, sometimes dwarf, sometimes merely a walking skeleton. He never speaks, but he guides the way to death and the next life. He also creates the circumstances for the wayward to stumble into their own graves. I've never heard of this Baywin e Aku and Aku e Bangwin. It means life and death, death and life, respectively. You should see them as two skeletal figures, one male, one female. Explorers have found themselves carved opposite one another in doorways. But I know of no particular legend that speaks of them. Thanks for the information. Of course, Bareth was once more widely worshipped in this area, but it is a silent god. These days, people find themselves in need of clear answers. Farewell. Ben will show me where to find Cleobon Rilak, but he warned me to steer clear of the Glafan tribe's guarding the ruins. Talk to Bedouin. No one trusts me with anything more than lighting candles. As soon as we catch her, it's back to Defiance Bay. These are slave catchers, aren't you? Cool on heels to Meredith says the job's done. What job? Talk with Meredith. What are you guys up to? An elf idles by the road, watching the village cross the river. He nods as you approach, and the cowled figures stand near him fall silent.
Welcome.
A look of horror slowly forms on his face. Blazes! You've just come from the village, haven't you? How bad was it? Quit babbling, just tell me what this is about. Haven't you heard? There's a murderer on the loose. Said to have gone mad with grief and strangled a dozen healthy children. When her own was hollow-born, he nods at figures with him. We've come all the way from the Defiance to bring her justice. She's here? He nods crossword. She's hiding out in the village. We're going after her ourselves. The problem is, she knows our faces. Your cowled faces. There's no telling what she'd do if she saw us coming. And we'd like to avoid any unnecessary bloodshed. Her name's Knifear. She's an Orlin. We want to get her out of town so that we can deal with her cleanly. She knows we're looking for her, but if someone were to convince her that it was safe to leave... Said they're going mad, we strangled a dozen. I'm not sure about this. I'm going to have to find out some more about it. There's a strong hand on your shoulder. A mad woman like that is everyone's problem, friend. Just keep an eye out. If you come across her, remember what I told you. I promise I'll make it worth your while. I've got a few questions for you. What is it? What did Knife-Ear do exactly? She was responsible for the murder of all those babies and Defiance Bay member. Terrible thing. But we'll make her pay all right.
Well met, friend.
Let's get back to the search. Cat in the house. Something strange about that. Cat and mouse. Something really strange about it. Right. Well, that's not what I'm here for. Well, something really peculiar about that. In the village, so. Word traveler. I only require a moment. Hope you're not trying to waylay us. Hold! Lord Nestor Haran has need of your aid. Hello?
Gods keep ye.
The guard gives you an appraising eye. You've recently come to Dyrford, I take it. I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I'm stuck in this wretched place for the rest of my year until we find her. You too? What's going on here? Who is she? Lady Alice bites his lip. She's the daughter of Lord Nestor Haran, and she's gone missing. Perhaps you could speak with Lord Haran at the end. He'll be grateful for the assistance, and it could be the villagers who'll open up to you more than they have us. Okay. Speak at Lord Nestor. Really, what's going on here? Some strange things. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in this little village.
I'm on the trail.
Yeah, we might want to take sneaking around here. And see if we can find out things on the quiet. There seems to be an awful lot of things going on in this little village. Some food. House here, villager. Probably wondering why we're sneaking. Don't know. Can't remember the last time we had a healthy birth in the village. You guys too. It's because they killed Eris, or is must have seen something. We've already told you we haven't. Stop peeking in our windows. Let's just sneak around there. Looks like they're saying something, but I can't hear anything. Okay. Don't know what they're saying. Let's go over here. Let's see what they're saying, if anything. She's been missing for days. You people can't keep stonewalling us. And if you can't just barge into our homes, we told you she's not here.
Ugh, smells like my old hunting leathers.
Curie. Some sort of sneaky. Alright, let's go talk to this seller. Potion for sale. Potion out. Oh.
Well met, friend.
A young woman leans against a wagon. One arm and one side of her face are covered in bandages with raw, rippled flesh showing underneath. What? A minty, tangy scent waits from her dressing. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town. I'm about dry on some of my stock, but you're welcome to have a look-see. Your stock doesn't seem to be working. Your face is all torn. And why are your stocks so limited? It's a damn roads. Can't reach none of my suppliers. So I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up in the wood. Deer cap, river reed, and the like. That's well and good, but most potions require something stronger too. Troll skin, vessel blood, what have you. Then there's the really rare ingredients, things you'll never be able to afford, let alone find on your own. Okay, what did you find? Hanging on winches as the rest of the story comes tumbling out. I've been keeping an eye on the Drake's Nest east of town, at Dyrford Crossing. The beast stayed long enough to lay a clutch and move on. Thank the Sky Mother it wasn't a full-grown dragon. Indeed. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in nests for weeks or more, and that clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought I'd see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched, or that young worms were so territorial. Never mind the egg. I want to ask you about something.
Good day, stranger.
She just one glance. Anything else I can do for you? I've got some handy ointments if you're braving the roads anytime. How'd you get burned from the worms? By the flames. How bad does it look? Terrible, I know it. It looks like it hurts. Laughs ruefully. That's my soft way of putting it. She sighs. I told you about my run-in with the worms. I reckon you put the rest together already. I'm looking for an Orlin named Knifear. I did see an Orlin lady headed into Draken just the other day. She points across the road at the large building. Don't know what her name was, but she was acting real sneaky-like. What's wrong with the roads? A noise of disgust rattles from her throat. Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods may be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that's rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay because they hear there's healthy births here, and all those refugees and abandoned homes attracts desperate sorts like fly on dog poop. Show me your wares. Sure thing. She tells her of her container, jars, other stuff. Do I trust her potions? Probably not. Scott River weed. That is really rare. And I can trade her some of my less than useful items. I've got tons of ingredients. I've got troll skin. I got vessel flesh. She's gonna come to love me. Oh dear, you've got vessel flesh. Yes, I do, dearie. Step right up. You've got the coin, I've got the flesh. Oh, she doesn't have enough. She's broke. Oh, maybe she's not. Hold a second. I'm not gonna give her that much. Okay, she's got some coin. She's got coin. I was worried she didn't have any coin. Haidna, an alchemist in Dyrford, has been having trouble getting supplies to the brigands and refugees on the roads. She said there's abandoned drake. She may be able to brew new potions. Yeah. If I happen to go that way. Let me see here. So what is this place? Oh, that's her shop. That's some sort of thing. And that's the mill. And there's the inn. Grieving Mother? Who's that? Grieving Mother. Hello? The woman looks briefly through you, as if she doesn't know you're there. Hello, miss. Grieving Mother. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off the long fibrous stems with a paring knife. Okay, so she's doing a little gardening. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me? Woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf for all. There's no indication she heard you. Study the woman. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman. Unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. That you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables for her any longer. She's weaving. And the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing. Oh, she's crazy. Like many of the townsfolk you've seen, there's a strange blur to her. Even the motion of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color, and a shape that lacks interest. And maybe that she is half-minded or deaf. Something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Well, focus more. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands, and as you follow the streams of her locks downward, the hair has become long and black, splitting off into the threads of black and silver, wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you. Each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. Well, she's a follower of Aethys. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky. And beneath the plateau, surrounding in all directions, is a forest, hazy with mist. Although, whether it's actual mist or distance or recollection. Resting in a curve of the natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you in the events unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle above you and around you. You feel different. Not disembodied, but you feel your body, your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, like mist rolling softly and roiling into a sealed chamber. And focus on those chimes. The chimes coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Audra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, and your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barrett's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child. And you can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your head as the head merges, a stream of fluid from the womb, helping the newborn slide forth, and a child's labor breathing, a woman's labor breathing, crying out. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close. They are meant as a comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth. And coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again. Almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along this length of a soft, wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman before you. You are holding a small child, still wet from the womb, before you. The child cries out, its cries full of life, full of soul. The ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you're viewing a soul from within a soul. But it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists. And where once they echoed in memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. Chimes are indeed to welcome the child to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the pen emotions of wrist. You are helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here, the child is safe. And all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. And slowly pull back from memory. Grieving Mother, with effort. The scene bleeds of color and your mind becomes your own again. There's no pull, no anchor, yet the sound of the chimes remain. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well, and they are hanging from woven braids on the wrist of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes on her wrists are sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you first saw. She's wearing black, shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees. And you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she's glad to be at last seen. What did you do to me?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
Indeed. There's a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch. Reaching up to the air between you, you hear the chime on her wrist sound, and softly, her hand moves as if pantomiming, resting on your cheek at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly.
Your memories. A cadence of wheels on a caravan track. Fever. Questions by running water. Violence in a night's campfire. Arrows in the dark. And fleeing. Falling rock and cracking stone. And a storm. The storm.
Indeed, the storm. The Biawak. You see it. It was death, my friends.
The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
Indeed. I encountered a Biawak, yes. And it did something to me. Her hand withdraws shyly, the chime sounding softly once again. The woman stands uncertain, as if she's been sitting for some time, or is too weak to bear her own weight. You notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt, yet while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before you.
You are able to see me.
It is almost a question. You suddenly realize she doesn't seem to know what you saw when you looked at her, the image on the plateau. Yet the image was so clear, so sharp, you're surprised she didn't feel you there.
To see me is a rare gift, a watcher's gift.
It felt like a pathway between our minds, but strange, gentle.
So many questions, thoughts whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels or eroding what keeps your true strength buried.
I hope it's not the latter.
The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There's silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts it stretches out between the two of you like a pull between your minds. You blink, take a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Assemble the thoughts. Do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear, gusted with the strength of relief, although oddly, her expression does not change. Then fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateaus from her memory lies beneath you, and a calm sky looks down upon you. Oh man, who do we leave behind? Alright, Durant. Gotta take them. Boy, Alof. Both of them. I need both of them. Oh gosh. We'll get him back. He'll be back.
You walk your path, I'll walk mine.
Yeah, we'll be back. Okay. Well. We'll see Durance later. So I need to learn about the Grieving Mother. Her. Dream and memory. I met a strange woman whom I know only as the Grieving Mother. I can understand why she's grieving. All the Hollowborns. She's a powerful cipher who shrouds herself from plain view. Yet, even though our minds experience a powerful communion, I know little about her or where she came from. When I first encountered the Grieving Mother on the road, I experienced a dream or was it a memory of childhood. Perhaps the Grieving Mother herself can explain what I saw. Well, oh. Hello, my friend. She's tall. Ah, she's really tall. Okay, well, let's talk to her. One moment. Okay, let's go. Let's get off the road. We'll go to over here. That very much. This is the road. Should be the road to Twin Elms. That's peculiar. Well, okay. Let's talk to Grieving Mother a moment. I love that.
Your mind comes bearing questions, Watcher.
I do. I have questions, my friend. Call our friends already. I have questions. Let your mind speak for you. I shall listen past the words. You addressed me as a watcher when we met. Do you know what a watcher is? There's a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she's going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen.
The title came unbidden. I do not know why I spoke of it. Yet it seemed the right mantle, a familiar one.
Okay, you're correct in that. Yet, I do not know from where it came. If I have given offense, well, of course not. Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge, a chill, which persists for a sharp moment and fades into a dull fear. What is she so afraid of? If I have given offense, forgive me. You would know more than I. Have you encountered watchers before? I do not know. It is an old feeling. I don't know where it stems from. It was a word that arose when you saw me. It is said watchers see much that others do not, and I have been hidden from the eyes of others for some time. Okay, let me ask you a few other things, then we'll be going. If I have answers, I will share them. How is it that no one can see you?
Their eyes see me, but their minds will not remember past the call.
The cowl?
My face is like the call of a newborn, hiding the face beneath. And for my body, I am able to wrap myself as a mother cradling her child. I am here, as you see me, but to them, their eyes see only the cloak that I wear, a peasant mother, dirty, shabby, not worth knowing.
I see.
As a watcher, you see more than others. To the eyes of most, I am as unseen as the spirits you share memories with.
How are you able to affect their minds? Well, I know that. You're a cipher just as I am. I divert the flows of their senses down a different path, to a place easily forgotten. It is not unwelcome when one does not desire the presence of others. The servants of their minds register a figure, but the memory slips away. I see a woman, but there is no desire for conversation, no desire for any questions, and I have none to ask. Okay, I want to ask you something different. When we let your mind speak for you, I shall listen past the words. When we first met, how was it I was able to enter your dreams?
I do not know. What do you speak of? If you were in my thoughts, I could not feel your presence, nor do I know what you saw there.
As she speaks, you suddenly feel an odd sensation in your mind, as if walking in her thoughts would be as walking down a back street of her merchant stall. The claustrophobia of wooden shelves and canvas tarps made less oppressive by the sheer number of enticing vials and bottles that stretch out to the sides of you. You suddenly realize that whether she admits it or not, you could enter her dream and observe it without her knowing. And in response, your hand twitches. There's a feeling that you could simply pick up a vial, taste it, sample it, and keep the memory as your own. I'm not going to do that. And suddenly, you find yourself back in her, your present thoughts. Though you're away for but a moment, she seems unaware of your diversion of thought. It may be one of your gifts, an ability to walk in memories as easily as one walks upon the ground. Perhaps you'd like to hear what I saw in your memories. A mixture of curiosity and fear wells up between you. She raises her left hand, the chiming of her wrist quelling the rise within her. She is frightened, but curiosity anchors her.
And what did you see in my memories? I would hear you speak of them.
The dream. The memory I saw upon meeting you. It was you, helping give birth to a child. There's silence, and as your breath falls still, you hear the faint cry of a child in the distance. A newborn babe, almost exactly like you heard in the dream. As you listen, the grieving mother raises both hands as if weaving, her wrist chiming as she does, in a semblance of the gentle turning she provided while the newborn was crowning. To your surprise, you recognize the motions and the words from the memory, even as they're new to you. As she weaves her hand through the air in front of her, the child's cries grow still. Yet the sound of the chimes weaves almost hypnotically in your thoughts. The sky seems sharp and clear, and you feel as if you are towering over your surroundings, as if kneeling upon a great pillar, just as she did in the memory. Okay. To your surprise, the grieving mother falls as if her strings were cut, and her knees crack against the ground. Her hand never ceases moving in the air, chimes echoing her movement. Are you okay? In a ragged voice you hear her speak, the voice that of a much older woman than the one before you, harsh, almost desperate.
Tell me what you saw. Show me what you saw. Where were you?
Her eyes now terrible, filmed like silver. It was in the middle of a forest, atop a great plain. The sky was clear, mists blanketing the trees. As she kneels before you on the ground, she whispers to you, hoarsely and even fainter with distance between you.
The stone of the plateau. Its color. Tell me its color.
It was silver Adra, a surface warmed by the sun. As you watch, her hands rise before you. She clasps them, then cups them, as if feeling them for the first time. And she stared down into the cradle of her hand, and the chimes sound once, twice, as they swing with the movement.
And what did these hands hold?
A newborn child. There's a sudden intake of breath, and then a release. Her eyes blur close, forming into slits. But in the brief glimpse you have of her changing expression, the rippling pain in her features seem to have smoothed. She swallows once, twice, and then you feel once again in your thoughts the rasping husk of her voice swallowed and drawn within her.
It was the birthing bell you saw.
Yes, it was.
Has it been so long? Have I forgotten so much?
With the words come a river of impulses, thoughts as if loosed from a breaking dam. And as your mind wraps the impulses into words, you realize it is her muscles and her hardened thoughts relaxing, breathing again. There's such an intensity, you almost want to step back from the flow, but you find a wave of impulses cause questions to float to the surface. Among them is the name Watcher. What is the birthing bell? That's Aethys, isn't it? Has to do with Aethys.
It is a plateau formed of the spirit stone Audra. At its top is set a great bell, cradled in the reaching arm of the plateau. It stirs in the wind, and it sounds for leagues when struck by kith hands.
Right?
In distant times, the great bell served as a Glanfathan watchtower, perhaps. Why they abandoned it, I do not know. Other men came in time, settlers, and claimed the tower as their own. I, in turn, claimed it from them. The pillar became a cradle where I could draw new souls into the world.
In your memory, were you helping a mother give birth?
Yes. Yet, I believe you only saw a small part of the birthing ritual. It is not all in a moment, nor in a day. It is a journey of many years between the child, the mother, and I.
Okay. There were much I could do to aid the mother. Some sought the comfort and physical comfort of ritual to steady their thoughts, even Audra from the bell. Others would seek advice, words of counsel for the days ahead. I was able to provide draughts, tinctures, and a reading of the child's spirit, all to strengthen mother. Can you tell me about the birthing ritual?
The ritual was one of many steps. It took many tens of years to carve them, but always the child's thoughts were there to guide me from the moment it began to awaken, to the 3 seasons within the mother, to the birthing day, and the years to follow. The child's thoughts, that is where it began.
Okay.
The expectant mother, I could often sense her thoughts, and those of her child, before she could. I would soothe her, free her from the panic of questions. I would sound the memory of the birthing bell atop the plateau in her mind, letting the memory of the vibrations fill my thoughts and hers. Often, the child's soul could hear it too, so the sound of the bell echoed in the mother's thoughts.
Okay, so you sense the mother's thoughts as well. Sharing memories and thoughts can bond lives together, asking hardships, and most of all, the sharing of what is familiar. The bell itself provided shelter for such thoughts, opportunities to see deep into the crevice, hollows in the rock where one could find shelter, clefts where you could feel the Audra all around you. As she speaks, you feel your legs bent, crossed, the warmth of walls around you, and blankets woven thick beneath you. Such shared images can bond souls even tighter and allow them to draw strength from each other. You mentioned the ritual lasted years. What would happen after the birth? Once the pain is channeled away and the mother and child breathe again, I sound the birthing bells on my wrists and allow the mother to hear the child's thoughts, the ringing echoing in each other's thoughts. The bells open the way between them. Let her feelings pass into the newborn and let her feel the child in return. And when the feelings meet, that is when I weave another memory and leave it tied in their minds. Did these bells play an important role in the birthing process? Yes, and for years after. I gave a set to the child after delivery. It is a reminder of the memory the mother and child shared. You feel an odd sensation of warmth, and you can feel a smile being shared. Then it flickers and it's gone. As the bells coax the child forth, so they accompany the child onward, fastened about the wrist to care for him in mind and body. There is no magic in it except the magic of practicality. If a child sought to leave their cradles or escape their cribs, the mother could know through the warning of the chimes alone. At times, if the bond was strong, so would I. The sensation of a smile comes again, slower, more knowing between you. If not, watch. Children, much trouble may we had from tiny hands. The chimes are kept until the child needs them no longer. When I no longer can hear them sounding in my mind, I know their spirits has changed, and the bonds we share are long gone. This shedding may last many years, or but a few, but it is necessary. You watch over the child for years after their birth. Children are fragile things. Even the ties of blood and mind may not be enough. They must be watched, and even though the body may fail the mind, but if watched, even the most sickly child may cling to life, if determined enough, and many of the souls were tied to me. If a child's spirit fails, I could sound the chimes in their mind and grant them strength. Even from afar, it did not always serve, but it gave hope. It sounds like you've seen tragedy too. Enough to never wish to feel it again. In the times before the bell, children who died were cast upon the waters of the lake beyond the bell. Ah, the lake of the drowned tombs. I've heard of them. Sometimes while alive, if their paths and futures were deemed weak. It was a different time. Children were treated carelessly. Those times are past. I've got other questions about the birthing bell. Ask what you will. I will provide what answers I can. Why would you give a telling of the child's spirit?
Many would come seeking their child's future, or a reading into the child's past, the lives its soul is said to have lived.
There's a slow chill, and for a moment, it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen. There's a spike of fear, alarm.
Such things are not mine to see. I meant no offense.
Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. Feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge. Ah, she's speaking to the Parthenon. Ah, that's who she's speaking to. Berthanathus. A chill which persists for a sharp moment then fades into dull fear. Ah, you feel the word watcher resounding in your mind. You're frightened. Something about watchers. As the thought of watchers crosses your mind, you feel sharp pain, stabbing, and a sudden burst of lashes across your back and shoulder. Then it's gone. I see. And you feel the grieving mother before you, silent, almost fearful, wary. I see. We have an audience.
I was something else, but because the title Watcher was cast on me, the word carried a weight I had neither earned nor deserved. The world seems filled with such titles. They distract, I think, from the actions of the person, from their strengths.
Why do you believe you were a watcher?
The world has many corners, and in some corners the name Watcher is more known. It is an easier title than others, and at times it is easier to wear. Placing a title upon what is unknown can dispel the fear of it, and I did not fight it. I even believed it true, though I knew little of the ways of Watchers. It even granted me strength.
Okay.
I was able to see the thoughts of others, shape them, and help guide souls. Watcher seemed enough, and the name seemed to matter little in the light of one's acts.
But if they came to you to read their child's soul, What did you tell them?
I drew upon the present. I felt the soul of the mother before me and used that to tell the child's path, to give it a voice. If only the thoughts of the mother and the emotions that lie beneath were mine to impart. I did, and so I used that as the telling of their child's future.
Okay. And what if the mother's emotions were painful or hurtful?
One must guard oneself when drawing upon the thoughts of another. The pain of a mother's rage and disdain. It can be a powerful poison.
Indeed. So you shaped their thoughts, made the readings true.
This is my calling, to show them the life I see before them, and even greater, make them believe it.
Okay. That is not what a watcher does. We don't shape minds. We see them as they are.
Even the most strongly worded tells may not be enough to save a child and allow it to be born. If I have the strength to strip away the stem of a mother's spite to expose kindness, weave nurturing from disdain and neglect, then that is my calling.
Okay, so it's different than mine.
And with the weight of Watcher behind my thoughts, these tells gain strength. Strength I never possessed on my own. They believed. And what they believed became the truth. With each child that was set upon that path, the title of Watcher became stronger.
Okay, I understand.
You must understand. Without such weight upon my words, many lives would have been lost, drowned, cast in the lake beyond the bell. Now the trail to the lake is lost and reclaimed by the forest, as was meant. A watcher was not there to look over us, but it was a watcher that saved them. And with a watcher's strength, children were born, were cared for, and grew strong.
It seems your readings were necessary, I understand.
What use is a frightened will when a spirit is at stake? Would you let the fears of a mother end her newborn's life? You felt it in the memory, the weight of it, the importance of the child's life. It was a memory we shared.
Oh, what is it? That memory is not the truth, is it? And suddenly there's a rasping cry across from your consciousness. She raises her hands. You see the chimes drape from them, yet they make no sound as she moves.
A greater good was done, and children were saved. It is a choice you may be forced to make one day, and when faced with it, you will make the same one.
Yes, I'm certain I will.
That is good, Watcher.
Okay, I want to discuss other things. Let your mind speak for you. I shall listen past the words. I heard the word watcher in your thoughts when you remembered the birthing bell. Now, why is that? Or is it the same thing?
It is because I once believed I was one, and others believed I was one.
Okay. There's a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she's going to fade from vision, as if she cannot be seen. That's another name for someone with our abilities. This cipher does not define you any more than Watcher does. It diminishes the nature of who you are, dims the flame of thought and drive. Yet, if it calms others, to define you in such a way, then comfort may be taken in that. That is a cloak as well that serves to dispel fear, hate. Okay. Do you know anything about Watchers? I feel they were once marked, hated. Such hate feels dim now. I can feel it. Other haters have risen for other titles, animancers. But they burned bright in the past. Now hate has shifted focus, and they may fall on the same again, either you or I. Okay, let me ask you something else. I wanted to know a little bit more about you.
And I you. In asking, we reveal ourselves to each other.
Why are you called the Grieving Mother? I think I can guess, though. The air seems to go still for a moment, and time stretches as it did before when the two of you first met. There's a wash of uncertainty from your mind, slowly shaping into questions that swirl and do not coalesce. She does not move. She seems paralyzed, as if you have just wrapped her in a cold blanket.
That is a question for you, not I. That is not my name, although if you wish to hang the title on me, I cannot stop you. Is that what you see when your eyes fall upon me?
So, I named you? As a watcher, you may see what I do not, or your mind shapes the thoughts I project into a new meaning. There is truth in that title, but it is not all I am. So, what do you grieve then? You must have felt it, seen it. It has as many names as the pain it has caused. As the words take shape, they seem to tumble from her, and the wave is great, rushing into your mind. To your surprise, you feel as if you've been touched by the bedrock again. Behind it, cutting through the torrent like a knife, are the thoughts of the grieving mother. There's a wound cut across the belly of the world. Yes. Jagged knife that has stripped the stems from men. Curved furrows across the wombs of women. Yes, I have. Two of my companions are responsible for that. One regrets it, one doesn't. There is much I have forgotten, but I can feel the wound all around me. It will not let me rest, nor let me be. The children have gone silent, yet their voices may be heard again. You're speaking of the Hollowborn, correct? The word. There's a slowness of thought, as if the word is being weighed, accepted. It doesn't feel natural to her. You can sense it. Was once unknown to me, as was much of what unfolded in the outside world. When the curse came upon us, I thought it was a smaller thing, a thing of communities and hearts. Her thoughts seemed to stumble, as if on weak legs. It was only when I walked did I feel it stretching out around me in all the cracks of the world. Children have been cursed. I do not think it was something they caused nor something deserved. That which is inside them has been torn away. I do not know how, but this wound must be stitched closed. Ah, that's what you were doing. I agree, my friend. The world bleeds forth from between a woman's leg. If this blood is not stemmed, the world will die and grow quiet. Do you know its cause? I know its cause. The cause was the God's hammer. You don't have to answer that, but feel free to do so. There's a desperation, a welling fear. You can almost feel her thoughts shivering, and you realize she is as lost as you are on the matter. Then a sudden, sharp clarity. I shall know it through you. Your eyes will track the cause, find the path, and I will be beside you. There is no wound that cannot be healed, and if you truly are a watcher, then this wound may be seen for what it is. You saw me where I hid. Whosever hand has stilled the world, you shall see them too. I see them. Mario, know the answer to that. What if sealing the wound causes more damage? I will be there, and you will do what must be done. You were given your sight so that you may watch the world, and you will tend it. The children shall have their voice again. If your will is weak, then I shall strengthen it. Lean upon me. You feel a weight in her voice, as if her hands are on your shoulder. You feel questions in your mind lose their edge and become merely words. As I lean upon you, you shall be my eyes, as I shall be your hands when the times come. What do you think about the Dyrwood and the Empire? Those titles are markings on a map and channels people's mind in violent directions. Such things are a threadbare blanket cast upon the world, where men and women seek more importance than simply being. So how do you see the world then? I think I know. The world is a field of souls tilled by Bareth's wheel. The thoughts of cultures and territories do not concern me. The sowing and harvest of the field does. Bareth's wheel has slowed, perhaps stopped altogether. Whatever words, titles, laws, and blades not devoted to carving away the harm or healing that wound hold little importance for me. There's something else I would know of you. I welcome your questions. It is a strange sensation after so long. Let's continue our journey for now. Well, I've certainly learned quite a bit, and much from our new companion about the troubles that are plaguing our
As you
world.
wish.
I fear it's beyond the Dyrwood. As she says, if it's not stemmed now, it will encompass the rest of the world. We'll be back. This is Erik Malkavian in the Pillars of Eternity. Thank you for watching.